The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was quiet that morning. Commander Hyunwoo walked through the ancient corridors with slow steps. He was young for his position, only 30 cycles old, but he carried himself with the weight of responsibility. His people, the Velans, were still new to the galaxy. They had only learned to travel between stars 50 cycles ago. Today, Hyunwoo had a task that made his stomach turn. He needed to enter the Forbidden Archives, the oldest section of the Galactic Library, the place where the Council kept its darkest secrets and most serious warnings. The door opened with a heavy sound. Inside, the air smelled old and dusty. Rows of data crystals lined the walls, each one holding thousands of years of history. Hyunwoo moved to the back of the room where a single crystal sat alone in a locked case. The label read simply, Sector 7G, do not enter. He had heard stories about this sector. Every species in the galaxy knew the basic rule. Stay away from Sector 7G, do not mine there. Do not explore there. Do not even look too closely at that part of space. But Hyunwoo had never understood why. He was born after the Treaty of Andros. He had never met a human. To him, they were just another species that chose to live alone. The data crystal activated with a soft glow. A hologram appeared showing an old meeting of the Galactic Council. The year was 300 cycles ago. The chamber was filled with species that Hyunwoo recognized from history books. At the center stood a human woman. She was tall and thin with dark hair and tired eyes. Her voice played from the recording. It was calm but firm. "We are leaving," she said. "Humanity is withdrawing from galactic affairs. We ask only one thing. Leave us alone. Do not enter our space. Do not contact us. Do not disturb us. If you honor this request, we will never trouble you again." An alien delegate, tall and covered in blue scales, stood up. His voice was angry. "You cannot simply leave. You have obligations, treaties, trade agreements." The human woman turned to face him. Her expression did not change. "Those agreements are void. We fulfilled our part during the war. We helped you defeat the Korath. We lost billions of our people. Now we want peace. True peace, the kind that comes from being forgotten." Another voice spoke up. This one belonged to Elder Min Seo, a Velan who was still alive today, though very old now. "What if someone breaks this agreement? What if a ship enters your space by accident?" The human woman was silent for a long moment. "Then we will remind the galaxy why you agreed to let us go." The recording ended. Hyunwoo stood in the darkness, feeling cold despite the warm air. There was something in the woman's voice. Not a threat exactly, more like a promise. Or a warning. He activated another file. This one was older. It showed a battle. The War of the Korath Empire. Hyunwoo had studied this war in school, but only briefly. It happened 200 cycles before his birth. The images showed massive fleets. Thousands of ships. The Korath Empire had been the strongest military power in the galaxy. They had conquered hundreds of worlds. When they turned their attention to the younger species, everyone thought it was over. Then humanity entered the war. The recording showed human ships. They were smaller than the Korath vessels, fewer in number, made with simpler technology. By all logic, the humans should have been crushed in days, but they were not. Hyunwoo watched as human ships moved in ways that seemed impossible. They took damage that would destroy any other vessel and kept fighting. When their ships were destroyed, the humans kept fighting in smaller craft. When those were destroyed, they fought in spacesuits. When those failed, they rammed their enemies with whatever they had left. The war lasted 3 years. In the end, the mighty Korath Empire surrendered. Not because they ran out of ships. Not because they ran out of soldiers. They surrendered because they were afraid. Afraid of what the humans would become if the war continued. Hyunwoo turned off the recording. His hands were shaking slightly. He had never seen anything like that before. The pure determination. The refusal to stop. The willingness to sacrifice everything. No wonder the council agreed to leave them alone. A sound at the door made Hyunwoo turn around. Ambassador Daejung stood in the entrance. He was an older Velan, his skin darker with age, his eyes sharp and intelligent. He looked worried. "Commander," Daejung said quietly, "we have a problem." Hyunwoo felt his heart sink. He already knew what the problem was. Someone had broken the rule. "Tell me," he said. Daejung stepped into the archive and closed the door behind him. He pulled out a small data pad and showed it to Hyunwoo. 3 months ago, the Krill Mining Corporation established a base on Luna. That is the moon of Terra, the human homeworld. Hyunwoo stared at the data pad. He could not speak for a moment. "That is in Sector 7G, he finally said. "Yes. The Krill know the rules. Everyone knows the rules." "The Krill are arrogant," Daejung said. His voice was bitter. "Their leaders are young. They were not alive during the war. They think the warnings are just old stories meant to scare children. Did they find anything? Resources? Yes, rare metals. Enough to make the operation very profitable. They have been mining for 3 months now. Building structures. Bringing in more workers." Hyunwoo closed his eyes. 3 months. That was a long time. Long enough for the humans to notice. Long enough for them to watch. Long enough for them to decide what to do. "Have the humans responded?" he asked. "Not yet. But our long-range sensors detected something yesterday. A ship left the Sol system. The first human ship to leave their space in 300 years. Where is it going?" Daejung looked at him with frightened eyes. "Towards Luna. Towards the Krill base." Hyunwoo sat down heavily. He looked at the data crystal that still glowed softly on the shelf. "The warning. The promise. The treaty that everyone agreed to honor. How long until the human ship arrives?" he asked. 2 days. Maybe less. Their ship is moving faster than anything we have ever recorded." "And the Krill?" "We sent them a message. Told them to evacuate immediately. They refused. They said one human ship cannot threaten their entire operation. They are requesting military support from their home fleet." Hyunwoo wanted to laugh, but the sound died in his throat. The Krill had no idea what they had done. They thought this was like any other territorial dispute. Send some ships. Make some threats. Negotiate a settlement. That was how things worked in the galaxy now. But the humans were not part of the galaxy anymore. They had removed themselves from those rules. They had asked for only one thing in return, and the Krill had broken that one rule. "We need to evacuate the Krill workers," Hyunwoo said. "Before the human ship arrives. The Krill leadership will not allow it. They say it would show weakness." "Then they are fools." Daejung nodded slowly. He looked old and tired. "What do we do, Commander?" Hyunwoo thought about the recordings he had just watched. The human woman with tired eyes. The battle with the Korath. The ships that refused to die. The soldiers who fought until nothing was left. "We watch," he said quietly. "We record everything, and we pray that the Krill learn their lesson quickly. And if they do not?" Hyunwoo looked at the ambassador. He thought about all the young species in the galaxy. All the ones like his own people who had never seen real war. Who had lived their entire lives in peace under the Council's protection. They were about to receive an education. A reminder of why some rules existed, why some warnings should never be ignored. "Then the galaxy will remember," Hyunwoo said. "Remember why we let the humans sleep, and why waking them was the worst mistake the Krill could ever make." Captain Jiwon stood on the bridge of her ship and looked at the stars ahead. She was 42 years old and had spent her entire adult life in the Terran Defense Fleet. But until 2 days ago, she had never left the Sol system. No human had, not for 300 years. The bridge was quiet. Her crew of 38 worked at their stations without speaking. They all knew what this mission meant. They were crossing a line that had not been crossed in centuries. They were leaving the safety of home and entering a galaxy that had forgotten them. "Captain," said Lieutenant Dongmin from the navigation station, "we are approaching Luna. The Krill mining base is on the surface. Eastern sector. Grid 7, Jiwon nodded. She could see it now on the main screen. Luna, Earth's moon. The place where humans had first learned to live away from their home world, where they had built their first colonies, where children had played in low gravity and dreamed of touching the stars. And now there were strangers there, digging into the rock, taking what did not belong to them. "Distance?" she asked. 500 kilometers and closing. "Have they detected us?" "Not yet, Captain. Their sensors are old technology. We could be right on top of them before they know we are here." Jiwon considered this. She could simply appear in orbit and destroy the base in seconds. The Indomitable had weapons that could crack a moon in half if needed. But that was not the human way. Not anymore. They had spent 300 years learning to control their anger, to find better paths than violence. "Bring us into orbit," she said. "Make sure they can see us. I want them to know we are here." "Yes, Captain." The ship moved forward. It was not a large vessel, only 300 meters long, small compared to the massive warships that other species built. But it carried technology that would make those giant ships look like children's toys. The Indomitable slid into orbit around Luna. Below, the Krill mining base sprawled across the gray surface. Ji-won could see the machines digging, the storage facilities, the landing pads where Krill transport ships came and went. They see us now, Dongmin said. Their sensors just went active. They are scanning us. Let them look, Ji-won said calmly. On the communication station, another officer spoke up. Captain, we are receiving a transmission from the base. Audio only, huh? Put it through. A rough voice filled the bridge. It spoke in Galactic Common, the language that all species used for trade and diplomacy. Unknown vessel, this is Mining Director Thak of the Krill Corporation. You are in restricted corporate space. Identify yourself immediately. Ji-won allowed herself a small, cold smile. Restricted corporate space. On humanity's moon, this is Captain Ji-won of the Terran Defense Fleet, she said. Her voice was calm and clear. You are in violation of the Treaty of Andros. You have established operations in Sector 7G without permission. You are mining on Luna, which belongs to Earth. You have 1 hour to evacuate all personnel and prepare for the removal of your equipment. There was a long silence. Then the Krill voice came back, louder now, angry. Terran? You mean human? That treaty is 300 years old. It has no legal standing anymore. This mining operation is licensed by the Galactic Resource Committee. We have every right to be here. The Treaty of Andros is still in effect, Ji-won replied. It will remain in effect until humanity says otherwise. You have 59 minutes. This is absurd. You have 1 ship. 1 tiny ship. We have a fully armed base and 6 security vessels. You cannot threaten us. 58 minutes, Ji-won said. The transmission cut off. On the screen below, Ji-won could see movement at the base. Ships were launching. Not transport ships this time. These were military craft. Armed and armored. 6 of them, just as the Krill director had said. They are powering weapons, Dongmin reported. Moving to intercept. Hold position, Ji-won said. Do not fire unless fired upon. The Krill ships spread out in an attack formation. They were fast and well armed. In any normal situation, 6 against 1 would be overwhelming odds. The Krill clearly thought so. Ji-won waited. She felt no fear, no anger. Only a deep sadness. The Krill had no idea what they were facing. They thought this was a normal conflict. A dispute over territory and resources. They thought numbers and weapons would win the day. They were about to learn how much the galaxy had changed while they slept. Captain, said the weapons officer, they are locking targeting systems on us. Noted. Maintain defensive posture only. The 6 Krill ships opened fire together. Missiles streaked through space. Energy beams cut through the darkness. Enough firepower to destroy a dozen normal ships. None of it touched the Indomitable. The missiles curved away at the last moment, their guidance systems confused. The energy beams bent around the ship like water flowing around a stone. The Krill fired again and again, wasting ammunition on a target they could not hit. Shields holding at 100%, the weapons officer reported. They have not even scratched us. Return fire, Ji-won ordered. Disable only. No casualties. Yes, Captain. The Indomitable did not use missiles or beams. Instead, it used gravity itself as a weapon. Invisible waves of force reached out and grabbed the Krill ships. One by one, they stopped moving. Their engines died. Their weapons went dark. They hung in space, powerless and helpless. Target the mining base, Ji-won said. Remove all equipment. Prepare to evacuate all Krill personnel. Captain, they are still refusing to evacuate. Then we will do it for them. What happened next would be talked about across the galaxy for years to come. The Indomitable used technology that should not exist. Teleportation on a massive scale. One moment there were 300 Krill workers on the lunar surface. The next moment they were all inside their own transport ships, confused and frightened but completely unharmed. Then the mining equipment simply disappeared. All of it, the massive drills, the storage tanks, the processing facilities, the power generators, everything. It all vanished in flashes of light and reappeared in the cargo holds of the Krill transport vessels. The entire operation took 6 minutes. When it was done, the lunar surface looked exactly as it had before the Krill arrived. Clean, untouched, as if the mining base had never existed. Ji-won opened communications to all Krill vessels. This is your only warning, she said. Leave this system immediately. Return to your territory. Tell your leaders what happened here. Tell them that humanity is no longer sleeping. Tell them that the Treaty of Andros is not a suggestion. It is a law. Break it again and we will not be so gentle. Director Thack's voice came back, shaking with rage and fear. You cannot do this. The Galactic Council will hear about this. You have committed an act of war. We have committed an act of defense, Jiwan corrected him. We asked to be left alone. You did not listen. Now you know the cost of that mistake. You have 10 minutes to leave this system. After that, we will escort you out personally. You will not enjoy the experience. The krill ships began to move. Their engines came back online as the Indomitable released its hold on them. They gathered their transport vessels and turned toward the edge of the system. Within minutes, they were accelerating away at full speed. Jiwan watched them go. She felt tired, old. She had not wanted this. None of them had. 300 years of peace broken by greed and arrogance. Captain, Dongmin said quietly, we are receiving a transmission from Earth. High Command wants a full report. Tell them the situation is resolved. The krill have been removed. Luna is secure. Yes, Captain. They also have new orders for us. What orders? We are to proceed to the Valen Citadel. The Galactic Council has requested an emergency meeting. They want to speak with us. Jiwan looked at the stars ahead, the galaxy beyond their small system, the place her people had left behind so long ago. Set course for the Citadel, she said. Let us see what the Council wants to say. As the Indomitable turned away from Luna and accelerated toward deep space, every sensor in nearby systems tracked its movement. Every species with long-range detection saw the ship, saw its speed, saw its power, and across the galaxy a whisper began to spread, a warning that should never have been forgotten. The humans were awake, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The Chamber of Unity was the largest room in the known galaxy. It had been built 5,000 years ago when the first Galactic Council formed. The ceiling stretched so high that clouds sometimes formed near the top. The walls were made of crystal that caught and reflected light from 1,000 different worlds. Today, every seat was filled. High Arbiter Tae Yang stood at the central podium and looked out at the assembled delegates. 400 species, thousands of representatives, all here for an emergency session. All here because of one incident on a small moon in a forgotten corner of space. Tae Yang was old, even by Valen standards. His skin had turned almost black with age. His eyes had seen the rise and fall of empires. He had been an apprentice diplomat when the Treaty of Andros was signed. He remembered. Order, he called out. His voice was amplified across the massive chamber. This session is called to order. The noise died down slowly. Everyone was talking. Everyone had questions. The footage from Luna had spread across the entire galactic network within hours. Every species had seen what the human ship could do. We are here to discuss the events of 3 days ago, Tae Yang continued. A human vessel removed a krill mining operation from Luna, the moon of Earth. No krill were harmed, but their equipment was destroyed and they were expelled from the Sol system. The Krill Dominion has filed a formal complaint and demands action. A krill delegate stood up. He was tall and covered in thick gray fur. His voice was angry. The humans attacked a legal mining operation. They destroyed corporate property worth billions of credits. They threatened our citizens with violence. This is an act of war. The Council must respond. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Many species sided with the krill. The idea of property rights was sacred in galactic law. You could not simply destroy someone's investment without consequences. But then Ambassador Daijung stood. The Valen delegate waited for silence before speaking. The mining operation was not legal, he said quietly. It was in direct violation of the Treaty of Andros. The krill knew this. They chose to ignore the treaty. They chose to ignore 300 years of clear warnings. That treaty is ancient history, the krill delegate shot back. The humans abandoned the galaxy. They have no legal standing anymore. The treaty has no expiration date, Daejung replied, and the humans did not abandon anything. They withdrew, as was their right. They asked for one simple thing in return: to be left alone. The krill could not even honor that one request. The chamber erupted in arguments. Some species supported the krill. Others supported the humans. Most were simply afraid. Afraid of what the human ship had demonstrated. Technology that could disable weapons. That could move matter across space. That could make a ship completely untouchable. Tae Yang raised his hand for silence. It took several minutes for the chamber to quiet down. There is someone here who can provide context, he said. someone who was present when the original treaty was signed. Elder Mincio, please come forward. An ancient Velan moved slowly to the podium. She was so old that she needed a walking support. Her skin was completely black and her eyes were clouded with age. But when she spoke, her voice was strong and clear. I am Mincio, she said. I am 412 cycles old. I was there when the humans first joined the galactic community. I was there during the war with the Korath, and I was there when the humans decided to leave. She paused and looked around the chamber. Many of the younger delegates had never heard her speak before. She rarely left her homeworld anymore. Let me tell you about the war, she continued. The Korath Empire controlled half the galaxy. They were the strongest military power that had ever existed. When they decided to expand into our territories, we thought it was the end. We had no hope of winning. Mincio touched a control panel. A hologram appeared above the chamber. It showed star maps, battle formations, fleet movements. Then the humans arrived. They were new to space travel. Their ships were small and primitive. Their weapons were simple. We thought they would be crushed in days. The hologram changed. It showed a battle. Human ships facing Korath vessels that were 10 times their size. But the humans did not fight like we fought, Mincio said. They did not follow the rules of civilized warfare. When their ships were damaged, they did not retreat. They kept fighting. When their weapons failed, they used their ships as weapons. When they ran out of ammunition, they rammed their enemies. The hologram showed exactly that. Human ships crashing into Korath vessels, explosions, debris, chaos. The Korath had never seen anything like it, Mincio continued. They were used to enemies who surrendered when the odds were bad, who retreated when they lost. The humans did not retreat, not ever. They fought until they won or until they were dead. There was no middle ground. A young delegate from a peaceful species raised her hand. But surely the Korath could have won through numbers alone. Mincio looked at her with sad eyes. The Korath had numbers. They had billions of soldiers, thousands of ships. The humans were outnumbered 1,000 to 1. But here is what the Korath learned. Here is what terrified them. The humans were willing to lose everything. Their cities, their colonies, their entire civilization. They would rather die to the last person than surrender. The chamber was completely silent now. The war lasted 3 years, Mincio said. In that time, the humans lost 4 billion people, almost half their entire population. But they never stopped fighting. And slowly, impossibly, they started winning. Not through better technology, not through superior tactics, but through sheer refusal to give up. She paused and let that sink in. The Korath Empire finally surrendered. The greatest military power in galactic history surrendered to a species they had outnumbered 1,000 to 1. Do you know why? No one answered. Because the Korath leaders realized something. They realized that if the war continued, the humans would eventually win. Not today, not tomorrow, but eventually, because the humans would never stop. They would keep fighting for generations if necessary, for centuries. They would pursue the Korath to the end of the galaxy if needed. Mincio turned off the hologram. The chamber remained dark and silent. After the war, the humans came to us with a proposal. They said they were tired of fighting, tired of losing their people. They said they had discovered something about themselves during the war, something that frightened them. What did they discover? Someone asked quietly. They discovered that they were capable of genocide, Mincio said bluntly. They discovered that when pushed far enough, when threatened with extinction, they could become monsters. They could kill entire species without hesitation. And that realization horrified them more than it horrified us. She looked around the chamber slowly. So they asked to leave, to withdraw from the galaxy, to live in peace in their own system. They asked for one thing in return, to be left alone. And we agreed. Not because we wanted them to leave, but because we understood what the alternative was. What alternative? The Krill delegate demanded. Mincio turned to face him directly. The alternative was that the humans would stay. They would remain part of the galactic community. And eventually, inevitably, there would be another conflict, another war. And next time the humans might not stop. Next time they might not show mercy. Next time they might become the monsters they feared. The chamber was so quiet that the sound of breathing seemed loud. We let them sleep, Mincio said softly. We agreed to the treaty because it was better for everyone. Better for them, better for us, better for the entire galaxy. We created the rule about Sector 7G because we understood something important. What? Tae Yang asked gently. That the greatest gift humanity ever gave the galaxy was choosing peace. Choosing isolation. Choosing to walk away from war. And the least we could do was honor that choice. Let them sleep. Let them heal. Let them become something other than warriors. She turned back to address the entire chamber. But the Krill did not honor that choice. They woke the humans. They forced them to remember what they can do, what they are capable of. And now we must face the consequences. The Krill delegate stood again. He looked less confident now. But they destroyed our property. They threatened our people. Your people were not harmed, Dae-jung pointed out. Not one single Krill was injured. The humans could have destroyed your entire base in seconds. They could have killed everyone there. But they chose not to. They showed more mercy than you showed them respect. Mincio nodded. That is the question we must ask ourselves. The humans are awake now. They have left their system. They have shown their power. What happens next depends on us, on how we respond, on whether we treat them with the respect they have earned. Tae Yang looked around the chamber. He could see fear in many faces, but also understanding. The younger generations were learning what the older ones had always known. Some species should be left alone, not because they are weak, but because they are strong. So strong that waking them changes everything. We will vote on the Krill complaint, Tae Yang announced. All in favor of supporting the Krill position? A few hands rose. Less than a dozen out of 400 species. All opposed? The rest of the chamber raised their hands. The complaint is rejected, Tae Yang said. The humans acted within their rights under the Treaty of Andros. Krill High Command did not accept defeat easily. In their war room on the planet Krill Prime, 5 military leaders gathered around a holographic display. They watched the footage from Luna over and over again. Their faces grew darker with each viewing. General Tae Min, the youngest of the Krill commanders, slammed his fist on the table. This is humiliation, he growled. One human ship defeated our forces and destroyed a corporate base worth billions. If we do not respond, we will look weak. Every species in the galaxy will think they can push us around. Admiral Bora, the fleet commander, nodded in agreement. She was older and more experienced, but her pride was wounded just as deeply. The Galactic Council sided with the humans, she said. They rejected our complaint. They made us look like criminals for mining in unclaimed space. It was not unclaimed, said Defense Minister Sung Ho. He was the only one in the room who seemed worried rather than angry. The Treaty of Andros clearly states that Sector 7G belongs to humanity. A 300-year-old treaty, Tae Min shot back. Written when the galaxy was different, when species were afraid of their own shadows. We are not afraid anymore, Sung Ho shook his head. Perhaps we should be. Did you see what their ship could do? Our weapons could not even touch it. Our sensors could barely track it, and they moved our entire base, equipment and all, in minutes. We have no technology that can do that. Then we do not fight them with technology alone, Bora said. We fight them with numbers, with overwhelming force. One ship cannot stand against an entire fleet. You want to send our fleet to Earth? Sung Ho asked, his voice rising in alarm. You want to start a war with humanity? I want to teach them respect, Bora replied coldly. I want them to understand that the Krill Dominion does not back down. That we do not forget insults, Tae Min smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. The humans have been hiding for 300 years. They have one ship, maybe a few more. They probably spent all their resources building that one vessel to scare people, but they cannot have a real fleet. They have been isolated for too long. You are guessing, Sung Ho warned. You are gambling with lives based on assumptions. I am betting on logic, Tae Min said. If the humans had a real fleet, they would have shown it. They would have sent more than one ship to Luna. The fact that they only sent one proves they are weak. The room fell silent for a moment. Then the Supreme Commander, an old Krill warrior named Jae-hyun, spoke. He had been listening quietly until now. How many ships can we send? He asked Bora. 200 warships, she replied immediately. Our entire home fleet. The strongest military force the Krill Dominion has ever assembled. And you think this is enough? More than enough. Against one human ship? We could send 20 ships and win. 200 is overkill, but it sends a message, Jae-hyun thought for a long moment. Finally he nodded. Send the fleet. But with conditions. You will go to the edge of the Sol system. You will demand compensation for our destroyed equipment. You will demand an apology. You will give them one chance to negotiate. Only if they refuse will you engage. And if they do refuse? Taemin asked eagerly. Then you will destroy their ship and leave. You will not enter their inner system. You will not attack their planets. This is a show of force, not an invasion. Am I understood? Bora bowed her head. Understood, Supreme Commander. Good. Assemble the fleet immediately. 3 days later, 200 Krill warships left their home system and headed toward Seoul. It was the largest military deployment in Krill history. Each ship carried hundreds of soldiers. Each ship bristled with weapons. Together they represented a force that could conquer small empires. Admiral Bora stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Crimson Spear. She felt confident, powerful. Whatever technology the humans had, it could not stand against this. Numbers would win. They always did. On Earth, in a secure military facility beneath the mountains of the Asian continent, Grand Admiral Kwon received the intelligence reports. The Krill fleet had been detected the moment it left their system. Human sensors, built during their 300 years of isolation, could detect ships from halfway across the galaxy. Kwon was 70 years old. He had gray hair and tired eyes. He had spent his entire career hoping he would never have to use the fleet he helped build. He had hoped that humanity's isolation would last forever, that they could simply be left alone to live in peace. But the Krill had made that impossible. He called an emergency meeting of the Defense Council. Generals, admirals, and civilian leaders gathered in the underground facility. They all looked at the holographic display showing the Krill fleet approaching. 200 ships, General Hyejin said. She was the head of Earth's ground forces. That is a significant force. Are they really coming here? Their trajectory is directly toward Seoul, Kwon replied. They will arrive in 4 days. Maybe less. Their ships are fast. What are our orders? Asked Admiral Minho, the fleet commander. Kwon was silent for a moment. He looked at each face in the room. These were good people. People who had dedicated their lives to defending Earth and her colonies. People who had hoped, like him, that they would never have to fight again. We have tried peace, Kwon said quietly. We withdrew from the galaxy. We asked only to be left alone. We removed the Krill from Luna without harming anyone. We gave them every chance to walk away. And they are responding with war, Hyejin said. Yes, which means we must respond in kind, but we will do it our way. We will show them exactly why the Treaty of Andros exists, why the galaxy agreed to let us sleep. He turned to Minho. Send the Indomitable. Only the Indomitable. Captain Jiwan will intercept the Krill fleet at the edge of our system. 1 ship against 200? Minho asked, concerned. 1 ship is all we need, Kwon said. If we send more, they might think we are afraid. They might think we need numbers to win. We want them to understand the truth. What truth? That we do not need numbers. That we do not need massive fleets. That 1 human ship with a human crew is worth more than their entire armada. Defense Minister Young-soo, a civilian, spoke up nervously. Grand Admiral, what if we are wrong? What if their numbers do matter? What if we lose? Kwon looked at him steadily. We will not lose. But I understand your concern. So let me make this clear. The Indomitable will not destroy the Krill fleet. Captain Jiwan has orders to disable them, to demonstrate our superiority without killing anyone. We want them to go home, to tell their leaders what they saw, to spread the word across the galaxy. What word? Young-soo asked. That humanity is not the enemy, but that we will not be pushed, that we will defend ourselves, that 300 years of isolation has not made us weak. It has made us stronger than anyone imagined. The meeting ended. Orders were transmitted to the Indomitable. Captain Jiwan read them carefully and nodded. She understood what was being asked of her. She had to win without killing, had to demonstrate overwhelming power while showing restraint. It was the most human thing possible. Strength tempered with mercy, power held in check by choice. 4 days later, the Krill fleet arrived at the edge of the Sol system. Admiral Bora looked at her sensors and smiled. The system seemed undefended. No fleet waited for them. No weapons platforms. Nothing but empty space and distant planets. They are not even here, Taemin said from the tactical station. They ran. They abandoned their system rather than face us. Or they are hiding, Bora said carefully. She was not as confident as she pretended. Something felt wrong. Sensors detect 1 ship, the scanning officer reported. Small vessel. Approaching from the inner system. One ship? Taman laughed. They sent the same ship that was at Luna. They really do only have one. Bora studied the display. The human ship was coming straight toward them. Not trying to hide. Not calling for help. Just moving forward with steady purpose. It is the Indomitable, she said. The ship from Luna. Perfect, Taman said. We can finish this quickly. All ships prepare to fire on my command. Wait, Bora ordered. We are supposed to give them a chance to negotiate. She opened a communication channel. Human vessel, this is Admiral Bora of the Krill Home Fleet. You are outnumbered 200 to 1. Power down your weapons and prepare to discuss terms of compensation for damages at Luna. Failure to comply will result in your destruction. Captain Jiwon's voice came back calm and clear. Admiral Bora, this is Captain Jiwon. You are in violation of human space. You have 4 minutes to turn your fleet around and leave. This is your only warning. Taemin could not believe what he heard. He started laughing. 4 minutes? They give us 4 minutes? Are they insane? Bora felt a chill run down her spine. There was something in the human captain's voice. Not fear, not anger, just certainty, the kind of certainty that came from knowing something others did not. Captain Jiwon, Bora said slowly, please be reasonable. You cannot win this fight. We have 200 ships. You have one. We do not want to destroy you, but we will if forced. 3 minutes, Jiwon replied. Taemin's patience broke. Fire on them. All ships fire at will. 200 Krill warships opened fire simultaneously. The space between the fleets lit up with weapons fire. Missiles by the thousands. Energy beams that could melt mountains. Enough destructive power to destroy a planet. The Indomitable sat in the middle of it all completely untouched. The weapons fire continued for 30 seconds. 200 Krill ships firing everything they had. The space around the Indomitable glowed bright enough to be seen from the inner planets. Enough energy to vaporize a small moon. When the firing stopped, the human ship still hung in space, undamaged, unmoving, as if nothing had happened. Admiral Bora stared at her screens in disbelief. Her tactical officer was frantically checking the sensors. Direct hits registered, he reported, his voice shaking. Multiple impacts confirmed. But no damage. Not even a scratch on their hull. That is impossible, General Taemin said, but his voice was no longer confident. It was afraid. Captain Jiwon's voice came through the speakers again.
Still calm.
Still patient. 2 minutes remaining. Bora made a decision that might save her fleet. All ships cease fire. Full retreat now. But Taemin grabbed her arm. We cannot retreat. We will look like cowards. Better to look like cowards than to die as fools, Bora shot back. I do not know what that ship is, but we cannot fight it. Give the order to withdraw. Before she could transmit the command, something happened. Something that would be studied in military academies for generations. The Indomitable moved. It did not accelerate slowly like normal ships. It simply appeared in a different location. One moment it was 1,000 kilometers away. The next moment it was in the center of the Krill formation. How did it do that? The tactical officer screamed. Jiwon's voice filled every Krill bridge simultaneously. Your time is up. You refused to leave. You opened fire. Now you will see what humanity has become. What happened next seemed to defy the laws of physics. The Indomitable did not fire weapons. Instead, invisible waves of gravitational force reached out from the human ship. The Krill vessels, each one massing thousands of tons, simply stopped. Their engines died. Their weapons powered down. Their life support remained active, but everything else went dark. One by one, the Krill ships were pulled into position. They were arranged in neat rows like toys in a box. 200 warships rendered completely helpless in less than a minute. On the bridge of the Crimson Spear, Admiral Bora watched her command displays go black. Emergency lights flickered on. Her crew looked at her with terrified eyes. What is happening? Someone whispered. Before anyone could answer, they felt movement. The ship was being pulled somewhere. They could see through the viewports that other Krill vessels were moving too. All drifting in the same direction, pulled by forces they could not see or measure. The human ship arranged the entire Krill fleet into a perfect sphere. Each vessel was separated from the others by exactly the same distance. It looked like a piece of art, a sculpture made from warships. Then Jiwon spoke directly to Admiral Bora on a private channel. Admiral, I want you to understand something. What I am about to show you is not meant to be cruel. It is meant to be educational. You came here with 200 ships because you thought numbers mattered. You thought that quantity could defeat quality. You were wrong. Please, Bora said. Her pride was gone. Only fear remained. We will leave. We will never return. Just let my people go. I'm letting them go, Ji-won replied. But first, they need to understand. They need to see. Because if they do not understand, someone else will make the same mistake. And next time, my government might not be so patient. The Indomitable began to move between the krill ships. It moved impossibly fast. One moment here, the next moment there. As it passed each vessel, something strange happened. The ship would spin, rotate completely, flip end or in, not violently but smoothly. Like a coin being flipped in slow motion, the crews inside felt no discomfort. The artificial gravity inside each ship adjusted perfectly, but they could see through their viewports that their massive warship was being manipulated like a child's toy. She is playing with us, Taemin said, his voice hollow. She is showing us that she can do whatever she wants to our ships. He was right. Ji-won was demonstrating complete control, not just over one ship, but over all 200. The Indomitable would pass a group of vessels and they would all spin together in perfect synchronization. Or they would swap positions. Or they would dance in complex patterns. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. On Earth, Grand Admiral Kwon watched the live feed from the Indomitable. Other members of the Defense Council stood with him. Is this necessary? Defense Minister Young-soo asked. We have already proven our point. No, Kwon said quietly. We have proven we are stronger. Now Ji-won is proving we are in control. There is a difference. Strength can be accidental. Control requires discipline. The galaxy needs to see that we have both. Back at the edge of the Sol system, Ji-won brought all 200 ships back into formation. She had been manipulating them for 7 minutes. 7 minutes of absolute control over an entire fleet. Now came the final lesson. Admiral Bora, Ji-won said, I am going to return control of your ships to you. When I do, I want you to leave immediately. I want you to return to your homeworld. I want you to tell your leaders exactly what happened here. I will, Bora promised. I swear it. Good. But before I release you, I need you to understand one more thing. What? Everything I just did to your fleet? I did it gently. I demonstrated control. I showed you that I could manipulate your ships without harming your crews. But I want you to imagine what would have happened if I had not been gentle. Bora felt cold. She understood immediately. If the human ship could move their vessels around like toys, it could also crush them like paper. It could have destroyed the entire fleet in seconds. Could have killed everyone without effort. The humans at Luna could have killed all your miners, Ji-won continued. I could have destroyed your entire fleet today, but we chose not to. Do you understand why? Because you are merciful? Bora asked. No, because we are tired. Tired of killing. Tired of war. We left the galaxy 300 years ago because we did not want to be warriors anymore. We wanted peace. We wanted to be something better than weapons. Ji-won paused. When she spoke again, her voice was sad. But the galaxy would not let us rest. The krill forced us to remember what we are capable of, forced us to pick up weapons we had put down. We did not want this. We never wanted this, but you gave us no choice. I am sorry, Bora said, and she meant it. Sorry is not enough. You need to carry a message to the entire galaxy. Tell them that humanity is awake. Tell them that we have technology beyond their understanding. Tell them that we could destroy any fleet, conquer any world, defeat any empire. I will tell them. But also tell them this. Tell them that we do not want to. Tell them that we will only use our strength to defend ourselves, that we seek no territory, no conquests, no empire. We want only to be left alone. Bora nodded even though Ji-won could not see her. And if they will not leave you alone? Ji-won's voice became hard, cold, like metal. Then tell them what you learned today, that humanity at peace is the galaxy's greatest blessing, but humanity at war would be its greatest nightmare. And anyone who forces us to become warriors again will regret it for whatever brief time they have left. The Indomitable released its hold on the krill fleet. Systems came back online. Engines powered up. Weapons became active again, but not one krill ship fired. Not one vessel moved except to form up for retreat. Admiral Bora transmitted orders to her fleet. All ships returned to home space immediately. Maximum speed, no delays. The krill fleet turned and accelerated away. They moved fast. desperate to put distance between themselves and the human ship. Within minutes, they had crossed into faster-than-light travel and disappeared. Ji-won stood alone on her bridge. Her crew was silent. They had all watched what their captain had done. They had seen the fear in the Krill voices. They had witnessed the complete domination of an entire fleet without firing a single weapon. Lieutenant Dong-min finally spoke. "Captain, do you think they understood?" "I think they understood that we are powerful," Ji-won replied. "Whether they understood that we are peaceful remains to be seen." She looked at the empty space where the Krill fleet had been. Looked at the stars beyond, the galaxy that humanity had left behind centuries ago. "Send a message to Earth," she said. "The Krill have been expelled. No casualties, no damage to our ship. Mission complete." "What are your orders now, Captain?" Ji-won thought about that. Grand Admiral Kwan had authorized her to make decisions in the field, to act as humanity's representative in the galaxy. It was a heavy responsibility. "Set course for the Valen Citadel," she said. "The Galactic Council wanted to talk. Let us see what they have to say." As the Indomitable turned toward the heart of galactic civilization across the stars, the footage of what had happened began to spread. Every species with sensors had detected the battle. Or rather, they had detected what should have been a battle but was actually a demonstration. Within hours, every government in the galaxy had the recordings. They watched in stunned silence as one human ship defeated 200 Krill warships without firing a shot. Watched as it manipulated them like toys. Watched as it sent them home with their pride shattered and their confidence destroyed. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer hiding. Humanity was no longer afraid. And humanity was far, far more dangerous than anyone had remembered. 3 weeks after the incident with the Krill fleet, the Indomitable arrived at the Valen Citadel. Captain Ji-won brought a small delegation with her. Only 5 people. But among them was someone the galaxy had not seen in 300 years. Dr. Yuna was a civilian. A scientist and teacher, she was 58 years old with gray streaks in her black hair. She wore simple clothes and carried no weapons. But she carried something more important than weapons. She carried the truth. The Galactic Council assembled once again in the Chamber of Unity. This time the mood was different. No one was arguing. No one was making demands. They were all afraid. High Arbiter Tae Yang welcomed the human delegation formally. He tried to hide his nervousness but failed. "Captain Ji-won, Dr. Yuna, welcome to the Citadel. The Council has many questions." "I am sure you do," Ji-won replied. "We are here to answer them. But first, Dr. Yuna would like to address the assembly." Yuna stepped forward. She looked small and fragile compared to the massive chamber, but when she spoke, her voice carried to every corner. 300 years ago, humanity left the galaxy, she began. You have all wondered why. Some of you think we were afraid. Some think we were weak. Some think we just wanted to be alone. Today I will tell you the real reason. She activated a holographic display. It showed Earth, beautiful and blue. Cities glowing on the night side. Green continents. White clouds, this is our home, Yuna said. 4 billion humans live here. It is the only planet we have ever truly called ours. During the war with the Korath, we almost lost it. They attacked Earth directly, dropped weapons that killed billions, burned entire continents. The hologram changed. It showed scenes of devastation. Cities in ruins. Forests on fire. Oceans turned black with ash. We fought back, Yuna continued. We fought with everything we had. Every ship, every weapon, every person old enough to hold a gun. And we discovered something about ourselves, something that terrified us. Commander Hyunwoo, watching from the Valen delegation, leaned forward. This was the part of history that had never been written down. The part that was too dark to record. We discovered that when our home is threatened, when our families are in danger, there is nothing we will not do, Yuna said quietly. We developed weapons that could sterilize entire planets, viruses that could kill specific species, technologies that could make stars go nova. We were prepared to destroy the entire Korath Empire, every world, every colony, every ship. We were going to commit genocide. The chamber was absolutely silent. And then the Korath surrendered, Yuna said. They begged for mercy. And we realized what we had become. We looked at ourselves and saw monsters, saw beings capable of destroying civilizations without hesitation, without remorse. She paused and looked around the chamber. That is why we left. Not because we were afraid of you, but because we were afraid of ourselves. We were afraid that if we remained part of the galactic community, eventually there would be another conflict, another war. And next time we might not stop. Next time we might actually use those weapons. Ambassador Daejung spoke up. So you chose isolation to protect us? To protect everyone, Yuna corrected. Including ourselves. We did not want to be warriors. We did not want to be destroyers. We wanted to be something better. So we left, we went home. We spent 300 years learning to be peaceful, learning to control our worst impulses. But you still have those weapons, someone called out. You still have that technology. Yes, Yuna admitted. We do, because we learned another lesson. That the galaxy does not always honor peace. That sometimes, no matter how much you want to be left alone, someone will force you to fight. The Krill proved that. She changed the hologram. It now showed the indomitable. This ship represents 300 years of advancement. We did not spend our isolation being lazy. We studied. We learned. We developed technology that makes our old weapons look like toys. But we developed it for defense. For protection. Not for conquest. How can we believe that? A delegate asked. How can we trust beings with such power? Yuna smiled sadly. You cannot. Trust must be earned. That is why I am here, to offer you a way forward, to propose a partnership that benefits everyone. High Arbiter Tai Yang looked interested. What kind of partnership? The galaxy is not as safe as you think, Yuna said. She changed the hologram again. This time it showed sensor readings. Strange patterns. Unknown signatures. Our long-range sensors have detected something, she said. Something coming from beyond the galactic rim. We do not know what it is yet. But the readings are concerning. They suggest a large force, possibly hostile. Commander Hyunwoo felt his blood run cold. Are you saying there is a threat? An invasion? We are saying there might be, Yuna replied. We detected these readings 6 months ago. We have been studying them, trying to understand them. They are still years away, but they are coming, and they are big enough to be dangerous. Why did you not tell us sooner? Someone demanded. Because we were not sure, Yuna said, and because we were not part of the galactic community anymore. We had no obligation to share our intelligence, but now things have changed. The Krill forced us back into galactic affairs, so we are choosing to share what we know. She looked directly at Taeyang. Humanity offers a deal. We will help defend the galaxy against whatever is coming. We will share some of our defensive technology. We will stand with you against threats, but in return we need guarantees. What guarantees? Taeyang asked carefully. First, the Treaty of Andros remains in effect. Our space is sovereign. No one enters without permission. Second, we participate in the Council, but we are not bound by every decision. We maintain our independence. Third, we do not fight your wars for you. We defend against extinction-level threats only. We are not your army. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some delegates agreed immediately. Others had concerns. Everyone had questions. Elder Mincio stood up. The ancient Velen's voice cut through the noise. I support this proposal. The humans could have demanded anything. They could have threatened us. Instead, they offer partnership. They offer protection. We would be fools to refuse. Commander Hyunwoo stood as well. The Velen delegation supports this proposal. We recognize that humanity has shown restraint and mercy when they could have shown dominance and cruelty. One by one, other delegations stood. The vote was not unanimous, but it was overwhelming. 370 species voted in favor. Only 30 voted against. High Arbiter Taeyang announced the results. The proposal is accepted. The Treaty of New Andros is ratified. Humanity is welcomed back to the galactic community as a sovereign partner. Welcome home, Captain Jiwan bowed slightly. Thank you. We will do our best to earn your trust. As the session ended, Hyunwoo approached the human delegation. He had been curious about them for weeks. Now he had questions, Dr. Yuna, he said respectfully. The threat you mentioned. How serious is it? Yuna looked at him with tired eyes. Serious enough that we came back. Serious enough that we are willing to risk becoming warriors again. Whatever is coming, it is big. And it is dangerous. And if we do not work together, it might destroy us all. Do you think we can win? Yuna smiled slightly. Commander, humanity spent 300 years learning to be peaceful. But we never forgot how to fight. If something threatens this galaxy, if something threatens innocent lives, we will stop it, no matter what it takes. Even if it means becoming the monsters you feared. Even then, Eunice said quietly. Because some things are worth fighting for. Some things are worth protecting, even if it costs us our souls. Hyunwoo left the meeting feeling both comforted and disturbed. The humans were powerful allies, but they were also dangerous. The question was whether the galaxy was ready for what that meant. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Ji-won prepared to return to Earth. She had completed her mission. The treaty was signed. Humanity was officially part of the galactic community again. But she knew this was just the beginning. Whatever was coming from beyond the rim would arrive eventually. And when it did, humanity would have to show the galaxy what 300 years of advancement really meant. She looked at the stars and made a quiet promise. The same promise every human soldier had made since the beginning. We will protect them. All of them. Not because we are warriors, but because it is the right thing to do. The Indomitable turned toward home, leaving the Citadel behind. But humanity's isolation was truly over. For better or worse, they were part of the galaxy again, and the stars would never be the same. Part 5. The Demonstration. The weapons fire continued for 30 seconds. 200 krill ships firing everything they had. The space around the Indomitable glowed bright enough to be seen from the inner planets. Enough energy to vaporize a small moon. When the firing stopped, the human ship still hung in space. Undamaged, unmoving, as if nothing had happened. Admiral Bora stared at her screens in disbelief. Her tactical officer was frantically checking the sensors. Direct hits registered, he reported, his voice shaking. Multiple impacts confirmed. But no damage. Not even a scratch on their hull. That is impossible, General Taman said, but his voice was no longer confident. It was afraid. Captain Ji-won's voice came through the speakers again, still calm, still patient, 2 minutes remaining. 18 months after the Treaty of New Andros was signed, the threat became real. A colony world on the outer rim of the galaxy sent a distress signal. Then the signal stopped. Completely, no explanation. No follow-up. Just silence. The Galactic Council sent a reconnaissance ship to investigate. It arrived to find the colony world transformed. The cities were gone. The forests were gone. Even the oceans were gone. The entire surface of the planet had been consumed. In its place was a gray, dead landscape covered in strange organic structures. The reconnaissance ship sent back one image before it was destroyed. The image showed things that looked like ships but were not made of metal. They were biological, alive, and there were thousands of them. The report reached the council within hours. High Arbiter Taeyang called an emergency session. When the delegates saw the images, panic spread through the chamber. What are they? Someone asked. We call them the Vrathan, said the science officer who analyzed the data. They appear to be a hive organism. They consume everything organic on a planet and use it to build more of themselves. They are like a virus, but on a planetary scale. How many of them are there? Based on the readings, there are at least 10,000 biological ships in that one system. And they are spreading. 3 more colony worlds have gone silent in the past week. The chamber descended into chaos. Every delegate was talking at once. Some called for military action. Others called for evacuation. A few called for immediate surrender. Ambassador Daejung managed to get everyone's attention. We need humanity, he said simply. This is exactly the kind of threat they warned us about. We need to ask for their help. Some delegates objected. They said it was too soon. That humanity could not be trusted with more power. That asking for help would make them look weak. Then Elder Mincio spoke. Her voice was weak now. She was over 400 cycles old and nearing the end of her life. Pride is a luxury we cannot afford, she said. I have seen empires fall because they were too proud to ask for help. The humans offered to defend us against extinction-level threats. This is such a threat, we must call them. The vote was quick. The decision was unanimous. The council sent a formal request to Earth. On Earth, Grand Admiral Kwan read the request in his office. He had been expecting this. The Vrathan were the threat that human sensors had detected 18 months ago. They had been tracking the creatures ever since. How bad is it? Asked General Haijin. She had come to Earth's military headquarters for an emergency meeting. Bad, Kwan replied. The Vrathan consume worlds. They reproduce by breaking down organic matter and rebuilding it into new organisms. If they are not stopped, they will consume the entire galaxy within 50 years. Can we stop them? Yes, but it will require everything we have. and it will require the galaxy to see us at our worst. Heejin understood. For 300 years, humanity had shown restraint, mercy, control. But the Vrathan could not be reasoned with. They could not be negotiated with. They could only be destroyed. How many ships? She asked. All of them, Quan said. This is not a demonstration. This is war. He activated the emergency protocols. Across the Sol system, alarms sounded. The Terran defense fleet, hidden for 3 centuries, began to mobilize. There were not just a dozen ships. There were thousands. Each ship was like the Indomitable. Each one carried technology that defied explanation. Each one was crewed by humans who had trained their entire lives for this moment. Captain Jiwan received her orders while orbiting Mars. She read them carefully and felt her heart sink. She had hoped to avoid this, hoped that humanity could remain peaceful. But the galaxy needed warriors now, and humanity would answer the call. The fleet assembled near Jupiter, 3,000 human ships, not the largest fleet in history, but certainly the most advanced. Each ship was a miracle of engineering. Each crew was ready to fight. Grand Admiral Quan transmitted a message to the Galactic Council. This is Grand Admiral Quan of the Terran Defense Fleet. We have received your request. We are deploying to the affected systems. We will do everything in our power to stop the Vrathan threat. But I must warn you, what you are about to see is not the humanity you know. This is humanity at war. It will not be gentle. It will not be kind. It will be effective. The human fleet left Sol system and headed for the Outer Rim. They moved faster than any fleet in history. Within days, they arrived at the first contested system. The Vrathan were already there, thousands of biological ships swarming around a dying world. When they detected the human fleet, they immediately attacked. They had no fear, no hesitation. They simply attacked with overwhelming numbers. Captain Jiwan stood on her bridge and watched the swarm approach. She felt no fear, only determination. All ships, she broadcast. Rules of engagement are simple. Destroy everything that is not friendly. Leave nothing alive. This ends here. What followed was not a battle. It was extermination. The human ships did not use conventional weapons. They used gravity manipulation on a scale never seen before. Entire sections of space collapsed, crushing thousands of Vrathan ships at once. They used energy weapons that could burn through biological matter like paper. They used technology that turned the Vrathan's own biology against them. The battle lasted 20 minutes. When it was over, not a single Vrathan organism remained. The human fleet had destroyed 10,000 enemy vessels without losing a single ship, but they were not done. The Vrathan had already infested 3 more systems. The human fleet split up and attacked all 3 simultaneously. More battles, more destruction, more complete victories. Commander Hyunwoo watched the reports coming in from the Outer Rim. He felt relieved that the humans were winning. But he also felt disturbed. This was not the calm, controlled humanity that had removed the krill miners. This was something else. Something ruthless and efficient. Elder Min Seo sat in her quarters and watched the same reports. She was not disturbed. She had seen this before. During the war with the Korath, she knew what humanity looked like when they stopped holding back. They are saving us, she said to Dae-jung, who visited her, but they are also showing us why we should never make them our enemy. The campaign against the Vrathan lasted 3 months. The human fleet hunted down every swarm, every nest, every trace of the biological invasion. They worked with scientific precision. No mercy, no hesitation, no survivors. When it was over, they had saved 17 colony worlds, billions of lives. The Vrathan threat was eliminated completely. Captain Jiwan returned to the Citadel with her fleet. 3,000 ships entered the system in perfect formation. It was a show of force that took the breath away from every observer. The Galactic Council assembled to thank them. High Arbiter Taeyang stood at the podium with visible relief. On behalf of the entire galaxy, we thank you. You saved countless lives. You stopped a threat that could have destroyed us all. Jiwan bowed slightly. We did what was necessary. But let us be clear about what happened. The Vrathan were an extinction-level threat. They could not be reasoned with. They could only be destroyed. We did that. But it is not something we enjoy. It is not something we celebrate. We understand, Taeyang said, and we are grateful. There is something else you need to understand, Jiwan continued. For 3 months you saw humanity at war. You saw what we are capable of when we stop holding back. I want you to remember that. Remember what we did to save you. And remember that we chose to use that power for good. She looked around the chamber. We could have conquered the galaxy while we were out there. We had the Force. We had the opportunity. But we came back to the Citadel instead. We came back to report our success and to return to our role as partners, not rulers. Why? Someone asked. Why did you not take control? Ji-won smiled sadly. Because that is not who we want to be. 300 years ago, we discovered we were capable of terrible things. We could have become conquerors then. We chose to become hermits instead. Now we are choosing to become guardians, protectors. Not because we seek power, but because we know what it is like to be afraid. Grand Admiral Quan, who had traveled to the Citadel for this meeting, stepped forward. The galaxy is not safe, he said. It never was. There will always be threats. Always be dangers. Humanity offers to be your shield against those threats, but we need you to understand the cost. What cost? Tae-yang asked. The cost is that you have to accept us. All of us. The peaceful scientists like Dr. Yuna. The careful diplomats like Captain Ji-won. But also the warriors. The soldiers. The part of humanity that can destroy swarms of biological horrors without blinking. You have to accept that we are all of these things. The chamber was quiet for a long moment. Then Commander Hunwoo stood. I accept, he said. The Velan delegation accepts humanity in all its forms. You are warriors when you must be. You are peaceful when you can be. That is enough, other delegates stood. One by one, they voiced their acceptance, their gratitude, their hope for the future. Elder Minseo stood last. She was barely able to rise from her seat, but she managed. When I was young, she said, I feared humanity. I feared what you could become. But today I am grateful. Grateful that when the galaxy needed warriors, you were willing to fight. And grateful that when the fighting was over, you were willing to